Well, hello, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to welcome everybody to What Women Binge.
We're back. We have Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional.
Right here in our very own What Women Binge studio, we have Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional playing his brand new song, Here's to Moving On.
It's another week.
It's another week, another show. We have a guest today. Well, hold on.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Someone is so excited about this guest right here.
To talk
All right,
about
we'll get in that in a
this.
second. But I want to talk today about podcasts.
Okay.
Other podcasts. We have a podcast. You can subscribe anywhere you get your podcast.
And you should.
And you can subscribe on YouTube and see our little faces. Some podcasts. So you're not a podcast girl.
I'm not. I'm trying to be. I'm learning from you.
You're on a podcast.
I'm on a podcast, which is the first step, right?
Right. The other step is it's the only time I use my earbuds, whatever they're called. Earpods? I don't know what they're called. But that's what I use
Earballs,
those.
as my children call them.
Earballs. I stick them in my earballs and I walk around the block with the dog, and that's my favorite time to listen to podcasts or on a long drive. But here's some, I've been really into some, and I've also been on some recently.
Oh, let's talk about
I was
that.
on, so Carly and Chris Kirkpatrick were guests of ours, and Carly's sister, Erin, does a podcast called Squats and Margaritas.
Yes, I've heard of this.
So that one's fun. It's about how she kind of came into her best self in her late 30s by realizing she could eat what she wanted if she worked out. And
so there's hope
with heavy
for me.
weight. Yeah, heavy weights. She uses heavy weights. Yes. And so she's very inspirational. She's great on Instagram. So that's one that I was on, and that's really fun. Another one is my friend Kelly Martin, who directed my movie Montana last year, one of my best friends. She has one with Chad Lowe, who she was on. Kelly was the star of Life Goes On, as well as tons of other stuff like ER and Christy.
Yeah.
Kelly, on Life Goes On, dates Chad Lowe. And Chad Lowe is one of the first television characters, I think, to have AIDS or HIV.
I feel like I remember
on the show.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's about a boy named Corky who is Down syndrome and his family and what happens around the family. And Kelly's storyline for I think the end of the show is with Chad Lowe and how he has AIDS and how she wants to have sex with him. And I remember this really dramatic episode. But anyway, they have a show together called The Big Break, and I was on that one. It was really cool. It's pretty new, and it's all about how people got their big break in the industry. So I was their first guest.
Oh, that's exciting.
And so it was fun. It was talking about my first job and kind of what led to what and that sort of thing. So you can check out The Big Break. And then I've been told I need to listen to Unprotected Sets. SETS. And
I love a play on words.
I was told this. Yeah, I was told this by a woman I was meeting with at one of the studio networks, and she said Unprotected Sets is about stand-up comedians. I love listening to stand-up in the car.
Oh, I love stand-up.
So Unprotected Sets is a good one. You have The Breakdown, or something about Breakdown with Mayim Bialik. You have Life is Short with Justin Long, I just started listening to. He's a fellow Connecticutian. There's a Yellowstone one.
Nutmegger,
Connecticut,
right?
He's a nutmegger.
Is that right?
From Connecticut. You're right. Look at you learning.
Retaining things.
Did you know that Russell Brand has one called Under the Skin?
Yes, and have you ever listened to it?
No.
So I've only seen video snippets. My husband listens to it fairly often, and he shows me, little nuggets here and there. But it is highly entertaining. It gets very political.
Okay.
But he
wants to get under your skin.
He's deep, and he comes across as very intellectual, which I don't know.
I feel like he's got that artist soul where he knows what he knows very well.
And he's
very curious.
Talks about it well in a way that you want to listen to it. And
I'm going to check it out.
I feel like if you're open-minded to both sides politically, it's a great one because he tells the truth about both sides.
All right, I'm going to check that out.
It's very cool.
There's also an interesting one I've been listening to recently. Haven't gotten very far in it, but Nice White Parents. It's about kind of gentrified schools in Brooklyn.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Talk about political.
And then, of course, our friend Candace King has Directionally Challenged. I like Let's Talk to Lucy. Lucille Ball had a radio show, so they put it into a podcast.
Yes.
And another cool one, well, we have Fake Doctors, Real Friends, and The Office Ladies, of course, with some of my friends in those. Noble Blood, we've discussed many times, is my favorite.
You got shouted out on Twitter.
Oh, by Dana Schwartz.
Yes.
The host of it.
Does that not make you a little bit
does.
giddy?
I kind of love it. And then I just have to mention, one I really enjoyed but found was very conflicted about was Dolly Parton's America.
I haven't listened to it yet, but Dolly is queen.
So I moved to Nashville, and all I knew of Dolly Parton was 9 to 5. So I just...
But she reigns over your bathroom.
She reigns over my bathroom. There's a huge picture of her over in my, what we call the Gucci bathroom.
Yes.
And it's, I moved here and I was like, okay, Elvis and Dolly are two things like the state, like they're the icons. And Dolly, I didn't know much about. So someone said, listen to Dolly Parton's America. And it's interesting because there was a class that was started called Dolly Parton's America. And I don't really love the way the guys do the way they produce the podcast. They have a lot of like her feet walking in the woods, but not a lot of like they talk about the sound her dress was making on the way to the stage, but they don't have that sound in there. Or they're talking about like what kind of snakes might live near her childhood home. But I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear more from like I didn't love the content, but I liked what I learned from it.
Yes.
I learned a lot about her. And now I'm excited. I'm going to go to Dollywood soon, and I'm excited.
You weren't here as a Tennessean when your kids were younger, but Dolly has the Imagination Library. Did they talk about that at all?
Oh, I heard about that.
It is the coolest thing. So if you live in Tennessee and your kids are under the age of 5, she sends you free books in the mail.
I mean, she's just a philanthropist on every level, you know, and what they talk about really in Dolly Parton's America is the fascination of her being both, you know, super country, you know, kind of the red states love her, the deep South, like she's like the icon for that, but also for LGBTQ.
Oh,
like,
yes.
She somehow can have little old grannies in her audience and also have, you know, her fabulous gay friends. Yeah. And she really, I mean, I feel like she's fair and loving to all. She's super open-minded. She's super lovely, it seems. And our goal
is to get Dolly.
But today we have a fantastic guest that Amanda.
It's not Dolly, but to me,
it's not. But
in my heart, it's pretty up there.
It's your childhood fangirl coming alive.
It is. I cannot believe that this happened. It's serendipitous. It's exciting. We have Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional. And my inner 15-year-old cannot deal.
I know. You are
jumping
out of your skin. All right, so let's do a little intro and bring Chris in here, huh?
Okay.
So he's born in Westford, Connecticut, one of my favorite places, and raised in Boca Raton. He sings, plays guitar, piano, keyboard. He's into skateboarding and passionate about music from the time he was a teenager. At 15, he was given a guitar from his uncle that led him to being nicknamed the Godfather of Emo. We'll ask him what he thinks about that. And he sparked the emo craze with his band Dashboard Confessional. In 2004, he had the hit song Vindicated, which was the theme song to Spiderman 2 movie. And we have to ask him about that. He recently celebrated some big anniversaries. He had the 20th anniversary of the hit song Hands Down, which he closes every show with. And he had the 20th anniversary of the MTV Unplugged he did.
And I was there.
You went to the show in November at the Ryman?
Yes.
And so you'll have to ask him all kinds of questions about that. He's dropping his 8th album this year titled All the Truth I Can Tell, which is going to drop February 25th this week. Mm-hmm. And with the new wonderful single, it's out now, but it's called Here's to Moving On. So that song is out now, and then the album is coming out this week. He's also an investor in CanVino, a company that empowers female winemakers and puts delicious wine in convenient cans.
Ooh.
You take it to the beach. And he also has a deep love of the long-running TV show The West Wing, which influenced some of his music, and we hope he will tell us about that. And he also has a new tour coming out with Jimmy Eat World. He's going to be touring with them, and it's called the Surviving the Truth Tour. And it's going to launch February 27th. They're going to start in Albuquerque. And hopefully we'll get to see them here sometime. Maybe we'll have to ask them about
We are going. We will find them.
So, Amanda, did you know that HelloFresh can save you time and money?
I absolutely did.
And give you recipes.
The greatest. It's so good.
They can do so much.
They do so much for me already.
They can. You know why? Because they are America's #1 meal kit.
Doesn't surprise me at all. Right? They send you everything. Everything's portioned out. The recipe card's right there, easy to read. I mean, even my kids can get involved in it.
They make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, right? You can customize your favorite dishes with their new Hello Custom offerings by swapping out one protein or a side for another.
Which makes it so great because I have kids who won't eat broccoli.
Oh, yeah.
One
picky
kid
eaters
that won't eat broccoli.
That's like the only vegetable my kids will eat, by the way, is broccoli.
2 of mine will. The other one, not so much.
You can upgrade for a more luxe experience, and you can even add protein to a veggie meal if you want to.
I love that. And they have limited time recipes. And can we just talk about the miso, sesame shrimp, and bacon ramen?
Yeah, I'm going to need to try that. Now, all these cozy classics are still there. They got the beef tenderloin and cheese fondue.
Yum.
I mean, delicious stuff happening here. So what I need you guys to do, if you want to get in on this good stuff, is go to HelloFresh.com/binge16. That's BINGE16. And use the code BINGE16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
Yep, that's right. Go to HelloFresh.com/binge16 and use the code BINGE16, BINGE16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
Yeah, and thank you, HelloFresh, for being America's #1 meal kit and also for sponsoring this episode of What Women Binge. So I have been drinking protein shakes and putting the powders in my like oat milks and stuff and shaking it all up for years. I've been doing that as my like get my day started. But I finally found a delicious way to get my protein before or after workouts.
And what is that? Because I
want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you? It's called Magic Spoon.
Oh,
I know
girl,
you know about this stuff. We love Magic Spoon.
Magic Spoon is so great because it has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net carbs in each serving. And that's only 140 calories per serving. As you know, it's gluten-free, it's keto-friendly, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb.
Love that. And it comes in 4 yummy flavors, right?
Delicious
cocoa,
flavors.
Fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. And you can mix and match however you want.
And we do.
And we do. So all you got to do is go to magicspoon.com/WWB, like What Women Binge, WWB, to grab a variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code WWB at checkout to save $5 off your first order.
And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, which I think you're crazy if you don't, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
And remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/WWB and use the code WWB to save $5 off.
Thanks, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring What Women Binge.
Hey guys, here we are with our wonderful guest, Chris Carrabba, otherwise known as the Godfather of Emo. Do you accept that title?
Well, no one ever calls me that directly, but
I am.
It's happening today.
It's mostly just Chris, but yeah, I'll take it.
So Godfather. So we have a super fan here, Amanda.
I am a huge fan. I've been a fan a long time.
Really?
Yes.
That means, how'd you ever hear about me?
Well, I went through an emo phase, as most kids do.
Not a phase.
No, it's honestly not a phase. It was actually a really big part of my life. When I guess I'm trying to think of years. I feel like my life is just compartmentalized into these spans of years.
Oh, of course.
It was before I moved to Nashville.
Before kids, before husband, before.
Yeah, so it had to be early 2000s, maybe late 90s. The scene kid era.
Yeah.
I had like 14 colors in my hair and eyeliner up to my eyebrows, and I was an anti-conforming conformist. Mm-hmm. And but I just your songs are the soundtrack to those years.
I mean, Amanda's been there for a lot of your big moments, like the Ryman recently for your anniversary, and
I was there for that. I mean, I've seen you all over the country. Actually,
does that freak you out? You're sitting next to a stalker?
No,
I'm not a stalker. I'm a true Blue
super
fan.
Super fan.
I can talk about it. Not feel weird.
So like, you can attest to this, but the relationship I've had with my fans isn't really like the typical ones bands will have with their fans. There's not been a whole big like line of demarcation between me and the audience, and that's kind of by design and because of the scene that you and I are from.
Right.
You know, it was like a by your bootstraps kind of scene where you built the shows as a person who attended the shows.
It was a social media before social media.
It really was.
You built relationships and people connected to the songs, and so they brought their friends, and it just kept growing.
Right.
So you said by design. Like, what was the thinking behind?
Well, I thought the trappings of like rock stardom or whatever, as it appeared to me, were kind of cliche and a little tropey. You know what I mean? They that part didn't appeal to me. I thought that bit where you got to be on stage and sing your songs felt like the part I wanted to keep. Okay. That seemed pretty dope. But the rest of the posturing didn't quite appeal to me. And it's good too, because I don't have that thing. I don't have that swagger, that level of swagger that you have to be like
Jagger or something
to
like
be
that.
a Jagger, or whatever they know.
Like in that way. Like you're an artist. Like you're an artist.
A true artist.
Art is where you. Like, I don't know, like for me, it was never, like my son everyone's like, oh, do your kids want to be an actor? And if they do, it's only for the wrong reasons. It's for the fame or the money. Not like, for me, it was like, I want to be a working actor. I want to be Betty White. I want to work my whole life, and I want to keep doing stuff that entertains and like just be in it. I don't need to be, Michelle Pfeiffer or, I just want to be like someone that entertains.
And that was my goal too. I just kind of wanted to see if I could write these songs that could move people. And that's a pretty small goal. And then I thought like the wild pie in the sky thing was like, what if I could also like pay rent?
While playing guitar.
And I did it.
You did?
Totally. I just paid all my bills with music.
There you go.
And,
that's the dream.
And that was and it went beyond that. And so I didn't get there by myself, and I didn't get there in the traditional way of you sign to some label and they have all the infrastructure there. What I did have was this scene where you could make a record, and maybe your friend, like my best friend, who was, she was only like 17, I think, at the time, and she put out my record.
Oh, wow.
Because she was like a business, she was like one of these kids that was like, probably, in first grade was selling candy to everybody.
Yeah.
And then
she was the best Girl Scout, so those cookies.
And then in high school, she was putting out records. Nice. And, she would go on to have like a stellar kind of career in the music industry that was not shocking to me at all. Her name is Amy Fleischer Madden. And when she, but that's what you had to have. You had to have like one or two people that you knew and you could reach and that they would help you out. And then you'd had to have a scene like we were describing where there was like, people would go to every show.
People embrace you and kind of lift you up and move along with you.
You still had to prove it, but you had the chance, you had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So like as a member of that scene, I would go to every show. Even if I didn't know or like the band particularly, I just go to every show because you were sort of building the community and you knew it.
Okay.
And so it was all in our hands. And then what we did was tell everybody. If we did like what we saw or heard, I should say, we told everybody we could in a way that made it, I guess, go viral in today's parlance,
viral
right?
in real life.
In real life, you would be like mailing CDRs to people that
EPKs were literally on a CD.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You'd mail them out and pray that somebody opened their mail.
Right. And then Napster came along and Napster kind of made my career because suddenly all those scenes became connected.
Yeah.
And I think at one point...
You were like a Napster baby then.
I was. And I think I was told at one point, like when I was finally on a major label for the first time, a couple of years later, a lawyer from that label came and told me that they needed my help to battle Napster. And I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like I have a career because of Napster. I can't tell everybody
not to do
go
it.
Stick it,
Wow.
And so
what'd you do? Can you tell us?
I did not sign up for that battle.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
So I want to talk to you for a minute about Connecticut.
Yeah, let's talk.
You were born in West Hartford?
I was born in Hartford and I grew up in West Hartford and Glastonbury. I was real little. I lived in Glastonbury.
I grew up in New York on Long Island and Manhattan, and then moved to LA when I was 20 to do Sabrina. And then when I got married, when we had a baby, we were trying to figure out where we could live outside of LA. And we looked at Nashville and we went up and looked at Connecticut because as a New Yorker, that was like the dream.
Yeah.
Like Connecticut was the dream, the white picket fence dream.
Right.
And we went up there and it was just, it was like my heaven. It was a Norman Rockwell painting and I just loved, do you have fond memories of Connecticut or?
Such fond memories. And, I lived there until I was about 15 or 16. And a lot of my family, I'm from a huge Italian family.
Okay.
And we are there in big numbers in West Hartford.
Do you go back
every year?
Here? Yeah, you do?
As often as I can.
Well, I will be there very shortly, actually, in March because there's a 90s Comic-Con that I'm going to be a part of.
Yes.
So I'm going to get to go to Hartford.
Where's it? At the Civic Center?
Probably.
Yeah,
I actually
probably.
don't know.
There's not. It's Connecticut.
I'll find out soon. Someone will drive me there.
That's where things happen there.
I'll find it. No, but I love it, and I go back every chance I get. Such good friends there, and it's just such a beautiful state. Just so like idyllic.
It's lovely, and we considered that before moving to Nashville, and part of me thinks that's where I'll end up in the long run. But I've been so happy here.
We like it here.
Yeah, I know. I love Nashville, but I had such a, I don't know. Connecticut was like just such a home for me that I was like so excited to, when I moved there, I was just so excited to be there and I just dug in and I planted my roots.
Yeah.
And then my husband wanted to be in the South. So I said, well, Nashville's as far south as I'll go right now. So that's where we are. So here we are. And now I get to hang out with you.
And there's a big representation of people from Connecticut here, you'll find.
Oh, really?
I have found.
Oh, all right. You have to introduce me to some. That feels very warm and cozy, even though I'm from New York, lived in LA for 15 years, but now been here over a year. So I'm starting to get, and thank God for Amanda, who's just been my dear friend here. But yeah, I had to go to that connection. So wait, can you tell me, how does your band come together? Is it the same band you always use or how is that transformed?
I have been really lucky to have like a group of players that have stuck with me, for many years, but it's not always the band or the same band. It's
You are Dashboard Confessional.
So in as much as a lot of the records, the whole record will just be me and an acoustic guitar. So in that definition, yeah, I guess I am Dashboard Confessional. And then I have players. Armin J. and Chris Carrabba and Scott Shanebeck.
Do you have like studio performers and then you have like tour people?
I have it's mostly the same people.
Okay.
I'll have a handful of people that I'll reach out to, especially being in Nashville, where there's these access to players that are just insane.
Oh my gosh, I have to say, going to church here is a different story. Like,
yeah,
I feel like everywhere
game.
I've ever gone to church, you struggle with the music program. And then here you're like, wow. Yeah. Every church is like,
it's like a concert.
Wow, I should record this. Yeah, it's insane. And then you go to the tree lighting at my kid's school, and all of a sudden, CeCe Winans is singing Holy Night, and you're like,
she's weeping.
I'm like crying, and my head is exploding. Like, this is the most amazing singing I've ever heard. But yeah, it's definitely a mecca for music, right? So
absolutely. And then all the other musicians that you meet in town that will just pitch in, and you have all these people that you just like always looked up to, and they're suddenly playing on your record or just jamming with you on your porch.
Now I know there's a big country contingent here, but with the emo crowd, do you like play in the honky tonks or anything like that? Is there ever a time when you come out and play? I know you played the Ryman recently.
No, I don't know that we.
There used to be a lot of like what we considered underground clubs.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever do the Exit In?
Yeah. I play the Exit In, Basement
East.
I just saw both of them. My son wants to, he's just turned 16. We're trying to find him a job. He's like, I just want to set up amps on a stage.
Yeah.
So if you need someone to set up amps
I got a guy.
But I was like, I looked at those two places.
I'll connect you with somebody.
Yeah. I just looked at those two places though. I think they still exist,
first
right?
job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those places are still there. Okay.
And the End, there was a lot of shows at the End.
The End I have a nice memory of, because before I was here, like one of my first shows was at the End. The End is not like the most high-end spot you'll ever walk.
No. The End is literally the end of civilization.
But it is awesome. It's got a great vibe and everything.
Yes, it's well worn in.
But when you've played, like just to take Nashville as the example, like when you played from the End to the Ryman, which is a beautiful theater, and then even a Bridgestone and Ascend, the amphitheater and the arena and the amphitheater, respectively. When you then walk by the End, sometimes you go, "Wow,
look how far
I've come a bit of a ways." It's kind of nice to have that in my own backyard.
Kind of sounds like the Cavern Club in Liverpool, like where the Beatles kind of started that tiny.
It actually is.
I went in there the week before lockdown.
Oh, yeah?
I was in Liverpool doing a Comic-Con, and it was crazy because we wanted to go see the Cavern Club just because of the Beatles. And like now thinking about it, I'm like, it was so claustrophobic. And with COVID, like 5 days later, there's an international lockdown for COVID. So luckily I got back in the States, but like thinking about where we were like a few days before that, to go down these tight little stairs, if you've ever been there, like tight little stairs, and then into like this cave.
It's literally a basement.
There's only one way out. Yeah. And like we went back to this back room where they used to perform, where I guess the actual original wall is, that crazy wall. But they've moved it to the front part of the Cavern Club now. But we got to go to the back part of the club and just kind of get a little space. But like you're in there and people are just dancing and singing, and it's loud, and there's one little bar and you got to wait forever for a drink, and then you got to get back up the like fire escape stairs, and it just seems like a hazard now thinking about it.
Yeah.
But that's what it sounds like. I'm going to have to go check out some of these underground clubs.
It's fun.
So which do you prefer? Like big stadium or small, intimate?
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad I get to do them all. And I do them all. Like we were talking this is a little inside baseball, I guess, for people that don't live in Nashville, but you mentioned Basement East.
Mm-hmm.
But I love those kinds of places. So I think I did 5 nights or 7 nights there instead of doing one night at a bigger place, just because it's like there's a certain energy you can get. And you can't do that everywhere, but when you live in that town, it's awesome to be able to
do you ever just like pop up for a show here and there, as opposed to like go on a big tour?
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time. When I lived in Florida for a long time, there was like a little, there's a pub called the Iron and Eagle that I would go to, like just on the spur of the moment and just like sing. I haven't found that here.
What about like what's the deli down in Leaper's Fork that Puckett's?
Yeah,
Puckett's. I actually went down there once for there was supposed to be like a bonfire party someone was taking me to or something, that ended up being like a bunch of people playing music on stage at Puckett's, which I thought was interesting because I knew it as a deli.
Yep.
And then, but some of my drunk friends thought that it was a karaoke and got up on stage and grabbed the mic, and I was like, I don't know that it's a karaoke, but they were famous, so they got to do it. But I wonder if Puckett's would be a place to jam.
They had me sign a guitar and hang it on the wall there, so I felt
so tell them that's my guitar. I'm gonna come play.
So I could just grab my guitar.
Do that.
Yeah.
Call me when you do. I want to come. I'll be there. I'll be there. So we have to ask you about an album or a song that was inspired by your obsession with The West Wing. So,
okay, first of all, I said iron and eagle, and I'll get killed, but it's lion and eagle.
Oh, lion and eagle.
But we were talking last night because you gave me a few things to be on the lookout for. That I do freeze when I'm asked questions. My first reaction is like, wait, what? A question? And I go blank for a second. So I was glad you did that, and I thank you both for doing that.
Yeah. No problem.
But my brother, I was like, what's my favorite movie? I said to my brother, he's like, Iron Eagle.
Oh,
I said, I don't know. Okay, so that's not it, but I bet you I won't be able to get that out of my head. And here we are. I haven't been able to get it out. I said my friend's bar wrong. So The West Wing.
Yeah. So you said you've watched it, what, 6 times all the way through?
I've watched it so many times. I've watched it at least 6 times all the way through. And like, I'll do repeat watching. Everybody does, right?
Yeah,
but I'll do repeat watching of shows I love. Absolutely true. And like like for me, I suffer from insomnia. And so like I'll watch things like Parks and Recreation or The Office because of course I know those plots inside and out.
Yeah.
I can't do that with The West Wing though because they're so dense.
Yeah.
And some of those through lines, some of those threads last for seasons. And so I can't watch it at night to fall asleep, but I'll watch it I watch it on the bus, I'll watch it backstage, I watch it at home.
Wait, so that's so funny. So West Wing you can't fall asleep to because of the threads, because of the information, because you have to stay to it. It's so funny. I find it the opposite. I find that it's like so overwhelming that I'm like, I'm just going to go to sleep. But if it's something like Friends, I'm like, I know this one. I'll watch and I'll stay awake for
really?
it. It's so weird. Yeah.
No, I feel like the low stakes nature of something like Parks and Recreation, I can be like, I feel like I'm just comforted.
I'm waiting for that one moment. I'm like, I know that one part. I'm waiting for that one part. It's like the part in the song that you're waiting for something. You're waiting for it, and then with like something like The West Wing, it's just any like 1 hour show really. I just kind of have a little, especially when it's a little bit like slow talking. Like something like The Great keeps me going, but like something like even Yellowstone, I'll get a little drowsy.
No, I love shows like The West Wing because the dialogue is fast. You're expected to know so much already.
Yeah.
I love in the first episode of West Wing when they use POTUS for the first time. And you're like, we all know now looking back, but that wasn't
I think we know that from Instagram and stuff, from hashtags, right?
That's right.
But that wasn't like a thing they used all the time.
They kind of introduce it to the world in the very first episode, and he gets on and he goes, "Who's POTUS? Who's this POTUS guy?" Or
the girl.
And he goes, and he goes, it's more his job title. She goes, "Who's this POTUS guy?" And he says, Rob Lowe says it, right?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
and the show is not afraid of getting ahead of the audience in that respect.
Yeah,
that's Aaron Sorkin, right? In general,
I think so. And he trusts that there's a certain level of intelligence that the audience will just find it, or when they finally give it to him, when he finally gives it to the audience, it's worth the wait. I think both of those things are true. I find like I don't, as a viewer of any television, I don't love to feel like I've outsmarted the show. Mm-hmm. I find that to be like a little like, I don't know if I think I just find it boring.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not smart enough to keep up with The West Wing. I don't know how many people are smart enough to keep up with Aaron Sorkin.
It's a challenge.
No, so I have to ask you, does West Wing translate for you to like House of Cards?
Yeah.
So you like House of Cards as well. So is it like
do.
any presidential or government, or like does it translate to the CSIs or like the Chicago Fire or any of that? Do you just like the procedurals, the episodics,
I don't know that it translates that far out. And it's not specific to politics. I think it is specific to Aaron Sorkin. I mean, Newsroom or even...
Oh, I loved Newsroom.
I did too, or even Studio 60, which wasn't my favorite among them, was still riveting to me.
Have you seen To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway yet?
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh, my little Nick Robinson from Melissa and Joey, my little nephew, he was in that, and I didn't see it.
Unbelievable.
I should have gone.
He outdid himself. And I'm an Aaron Sorkin fan. It blew my mind.
Well, I loved, his movie last year, I think, was the best movie. Chicago 7 was like the best movie of the year to me. And a lot of people, but especially to me. So tell us how The West Wing, like, kind of, it inspired one of your songs, or maybe just a line in your song. But how did it sort of...
Well, it's repeatedly done this throughout my career as a songwriter. And I can think back to an early song of mine as the first example. And it was, I believe it was... I think it was during like the recount in the Bush Gore elections, and like while they were still trying to count the votes.
You in Florida then?
I was in Florida. And it all felt very hot in a lot of ways to be down there then. And I remember, watching, I had them on VHS. I was watching the in my van. I had a little, like one of those
the travel TV.
I did. I had and I remember watching those and like, who knows what I was doing, probably waiting for a show to start or something like that. Watching them on my van and thinking like, this is the future like we want. They're like working out all this conflict. It's working. It eventually works out. And there was a sense that nothing was going to work out in America in that moment. And some could argue that it didn't. Some would argue that it did just fine. And I had a song I was working on. It was called The Good Fight. And I just remember it. I remember it it wasn't linear, but I remember turning my little TV off. I was watching it on a screen like this. It was almost like when there's, remember the iPod video screens? It was like that size.
But now you can think about the quality. It's like it should be on a movie screen.
Absolutely.
So good.
Yeah, but hey, man, I'll take what I can get. Stuff, especially in those days. And I remember turning it off, and I wrote the song, and I could sense the thread. I could see the connection between this song that I'd written about kind of about like standing up for your convictions no matter what in the face of them. And I think it was inspired by two things at once. With songs, it's often more than one thing. Is
there always a love undertone though, or like a?
Well, there is for Dashboard because that was the conceit of Dashboard to begin with, and it's kind of remained. It was like, what if I could take any worldview I have or any view I have about anything, and kind of boil it into into a language that makes sense as if it was about a relationship. So the conflict itself may have been political, maybe in this example, but it was like, could I make it sound like it's about the challenges of a relationship? I mean, because I think
whenever I think of songs, I always try to think of what if it is about love, but what's an underlying kind of context of a song? Like my husband's a songwriter, but he and I know there's songs that he's written about his football coach, about his father, but of course they could all, the first time you listen to him, you're like, it's a love song, he's heartbroken, that kind of thing. But
What'd you do, Melissa?
No, the only one he wrote about me was kind of like a sweet little love song. Aww. He did write a really beautiful one about our son, Mason. When he was actually in a studio in New Jersey recording his album, he came up with a song, it's called Gone. And it's kind of a sad song, and you'd think it's just about losing love, but it's about his son not being with him, so that one
relate to that.
That one's a little bit of a better song than the one he wrote about me. A little jealous of my son, but the other two can be more jealous because they don't have songs written by daddy. He's the only one that got a song written. Yeah, he's got to start songwriting again. It's been like 12 years. But so what other for other contexts, like with West Wing, what are the what are sort of the storylines or the threads that you've enjoyed on the show? Man. Like favorite episodes?
Well, the Two Cathedrals is my favorite episode. It's probably everybody's favorite episode that followed the West Wing. It's just like such a tour de force performance from Martin Sheen, but from the entire cast. And it's, I don't know how whether or not I should avoid these spoilers.
It's okay. Say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They're dealing with the death of a main character, I guess, but not an integral character in every scene, but somebody that's been in the cast the entire time. And it's an affront to his faith in God, and he's facing it down in a cathedral, and it is bare and bold in the way that he's just challenging God, like verbally challenging God in Latin at times.
What season is this? Do you know?
This is season.
You should know if you've seen it.
I should. Well, I don't have like that kind of encyclopedic brain in the first place. I think it's season 2.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to check that one out because I don't know that one.
I want to hear the song. Can we hear the song?
Which one? Oh, I should tell you about how it most recently connected, because the song I referenced was from like my second record. Oh, okay. But in recent times,
and
I have a song.
How many albums? Is it 8, 6?
Should be. I think it's like 8. Or
hang on, let me ask my ear.
8.
Magic ear, can you tell us how many albums Chris has had?
Wait, I think I have it written here. I think I said it if I had my glasses.
You don't have your glasses on.
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
It could be
9.
You're
dropping your 8th. You're dropping your 8th album.
It's either that or fewer or more.
In a few weeks, you are dropping your 8th, or this week. This week, you're dropping your 8th album.
Finally.
Yay.
Yes.
And going on tour.
I'm
with
going
Jimmy Eat World.
With Jimmy Eat World, our friends Jimmy Eat World, and we've never toured together. We've done lots of shows over the years.
And you know them all?
Oh yeah, but we've never toured together, and it's probably my band, the band I've wanted to tour with more than any other band.
So you're a big fan of theirs?
Big fan.
Okay. What other music do you like? That influences you too?
Well, the Counting Crows have been a long-standing influence for me.
Have you met Adam?
Adam's one of my closest friends, and he is.
I used to party with him in LA. Say hi.
I will. And he's been an incredible friend to me. He's also been a great mentor to me from early on in my career. I don't know that I'd be, where I am as an artist without him. And so, but Counting Crows and Paul Simon is a big deal to me. But then there's all these counterculture bands that fewer people I think know about that probably have as big an influence.
Give us a few.
Bigger. Okay, Jawbox and Jawbreaker, Face to Face. Let's see, Descendants. That's a big one for me. Just name a few.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'll take notes when I go through when this is over because.
Yeah,
I'm always looking for new music.
Stuff.
I told her I go back to soundtracks all the time because
it's funny. I'm not new music. Do you find new music hard to listen to, or do you have kids?
I do.
Are they? How old are they?
They have good music taste, so I can find music through them for sure.
Interesting. My 16-year-old is really into right now Aerosmith, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's fun.
We're excited to see them on tour this summer. But he's also into he knows Michael Jackson and Prince. It was actually he was in that School of Rock program. And he got introduced to Motown and things like that. And now he's really into Elvis, but he's also really into this hip hop culture right now that I just don't, all the littles, little Nas, little Romeo, little, I don't know, all the
littles. If it's
littles.
on Fortnite, I know about it. Other than that, my kids are not
Little Juice WRLD, Marshmello, all those, is it Marshmello or Mellow? I don't know. Anyway, all those, and that stuff, my husband has, at least, he just sounds like an old man to me, but he's like, I don't get this music. And, he says all the old man things. Gas is so expensive. Bread used to cost less. I'm like, you're like, are you 70 or are you 44? Because he's just complaining constantly about the prices of things and the music that the kids listen to. But is there anything current that you listen to?
Well,
anything shocking like that my 16-year-old would?
I don't know.
I'm just curious if
newer bands that I listen to that kids
really
know.
Macklemore.
Yeah, I mean AJR is a band I like a lot that I did find through I don't know that I found them through my kids, but for sure I know that's my son's favorite band is AJR.
How old are your kids, if you don't?
13 and 11. My son is 13. My daughter is 11.
How fun.
The 13-year-old probably knows all those rap, because my 13-year-old knows it, but mainly from his big brother, I feel like, of the hip-hop
They're
world.
both, I guess they find all their music like everybody else now through TikTok. And
I didn't know that all those TikTok songs were actually songs. Do you have a song that's been hit a hit on TikTok?
Not in the way that
we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, let's do
These
it.
viral everyone my kids keep telling me, Mom, your TikTok's terrible. I'm like, all right, I gotta step it up. I gotta figure something out. So do something fun with one of your songs.
I have to get up to speed on that. The access kids have now, if they're musically inclined to kind of.
But it's also kind of sad because I feel like they can target anything they want and not hear. I miss the days of radio. My kids don't understand when I do listen to the radio, I'm listening to Lithium. I'm a big 90s rock girl. If I listen to Lithium, they're like, can you change it? Or can you skip this one? Or can you go to or can you just put on Moana? Or can you, and that's the little one, obviously, not my 16-year-old. But then I'm like, well, this is the radio, and they don't understand having to listen. I remember sitting by the tape player, waiting to push record so you could record for your best friend that one song, and hopefully you'll get the top of it, and the radio announcer won't kind of bleed into it, and that whole moment of. But also hearing other music because you're having to listen to the whole. They're going to play it within that hour, the song you want, that Madonna song or whatever, right? The Clash, and you're waiting for this song to come on, and you're hearing 20 other songs, and we don't have to do that anymore.
No, we were invested in a different way, weren't we?
We were. In TV, having to watch commercials, having to, I still remember getting up to change the channel, and not having all that content, having appointment television, that kind of thing.
Yeah, appointment television. I remember flipping through the TV guide to see what the appointment television was going to be that week.
Yeah. And if you didn't watch it, you missed out at the, quote unquote, water cooler of school the next day. If you didn't watch it, Friday morning, you had nothing to talk about with your friends. Or if you missed 227, or you missed Family Ties, or you missed Alf.
Remember talking about Winnie Cooper.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Wonder
friends
Years.
on the playground.
Oh, yeah, gosh, she's everybody. That poor girl. She's everybody's first crush. I feel like
she's on the
that's
West
a
Wing.
lot. She is.
That's right.
And she does she's a Hallmark darling. Oh, though she just jumped ship to the, whatever it's called now, GAC.
Dun, dun, dun.
GAC, I think.
Scandalous.
You can go find her. You come with me to Christmas Con. We'll say hi to Danica. What else, like, have you ever met Martin Sheen?
I've not met Martin Sheen.
So I did a play with him. I did The Crucible with him on Broadway. I was 16. I was an understudy. Nicest man ever. So you want to hear my Martin Sheen stories real quick? So he's playing the dad. I was understudying 3 roles, three of the daughters, 3 girls. But you never really get a rehearsal for one. You kind of rehearse like, well, if you're this character, you're going to stand on this mark. And if you're this character, you're going to stand on this mark. But if you're this one, you're going to be over here. So you're trying to keep it all together. And it was just my summer break from Clarissa, and I was doing theater. It was National Actors Theater, brand new, with Tony Randall had started it. And it's Martin Sheen, Michael York, who was a big Shakespearean actor. And I'd watched him like in school in Shakespeare movies. And so here I am working with these amazing actors. And I have to go on. They call you that morning and they're like, she's sick. You have to come in. You have to go to Capizio, get some shoes, show up for rehearsal. And then, the show's on at 8 p.m. So I like run through the city and get together and go to rehearsal and try to figure out this one character. Now I've only rehearsed all the characters. So I've never done it all the way through as one person. So I still have nightmares about this, by the way. So I have to, like, at the very beginning, the little girl passes out on the bed from the witches, the spirits taking over. She passes out and I'm too big. I almost hit my head on the bed. So they have to like cushion the whole bed so that I won't knock myself out in the middle of the show. But at least at the very beginning, I had to start sleeping in the bed. So I get like a good 15 minutes to calm my nerves once that curtain opens. But he's the first person to stand next to the bed. So he comes over as the curtain's about to open and he gives me a little kiss on the head and he's like, break a leg, or did he say break a leg? Something like that. And I just remember being like, oh, Martin thinks I can do it. Like, it's going to be okay. And and somehow I survived the show. I don't remember a single moment of it. I just went blank, but made it through it. But there were other times, like the opening night, Charlie Sheen came by. And of course, Charlie and Emilio Estevez were like huge stars at the time, because this is like 1992, I think. And Martin's there. And of course, Charlie's there, and we're all just like, oh my God, Charlie Sheen's here. And we would always go from the theater. It was the Belasco Theater on 44th Street. And we go next door to Un Deux Trois afterwards for a party, because it was the opening night. And I was just waiting for Charlie to walk in. All the good little girls were waiting for Charlie to walk in the door. And he didn't come. We all go up to Martin. We're like, wait, because we didn't really know who Martin was at this point, right? Like, we're Charlie fans. And we were like, where is he? She's like, oh, he broke his tooth on a milk dud and had to rush to the dentist. So he like took off. We didn't get to meet him. But when Emilio came to see him, he was dating Paula Abdul. And we knew that he was in Martin's dressing room. So some of the girls and I would never, as an understudy, have felt confident doing this, but I went with some of the other girls in the cast. We like knock on his door. We're like, good night, Martin. Just want to say good night. Great show. He's like, oh, do you guys want to meet my son, Emilio? We're like, okay. And like we shake Emilio's hand and he goes, oh, and this is my girlfriend, Paula. And we look behind the door and she's sitting in the corner, this tiny little thing. She's like, hi. And we're just like, wow. Like 92.
Yeah, she's
like,
a big star.
I mean, Scrat Cat and all that is all like, you're like, Snake, like, oh God, I can't wash my hand. Like Emilio and Paula. So yeah, Martin was just super sweet. And like, no matter how much we knocked on his door or begged him to meet his kids, he was all willing to be like, oh, hi girls. Yeah, sure. Sign that autograph for your friend and da-da-da. Really nice guy. So I haven't seen him since. Adore him though. I mean, if he was like that back then, then West Wing happened. So, maybe it went to his head, but I doubt it.
Yeah. There's something special. There's something next level about that kind of kindness, that generosity. And I think it's not that rare, I find, it with artists to just be willing to share.
You don't hear about those people is the thing. You don't hear about the people that behave well. You don't hear about the people that are nice. You only hear the bad stories. So, I try to remember that when I read reviews and stuff. The only people that really want to go and review stuff are people complaining. So I find that like, Martin Short, like nicest guy ever. Callista Flockhart, who you never hear about, but married Harrison Ford, like nicest, like she was my big sister growing up. And there's some of these people that you just don't hear about. And I get asked all the time, how did you end up normal? I'm like, not that I ended up normal. I just am not an asshole. Yeah. But I also learned it by working alongside like Martin Sheen, who taught me, certain ways to behave. And then other actors that taught me other ways I didn't want to behave. And seeing the difference and seeing how people talked about them behind their backs.
Certainly that's the way it was for me coming up in the music scene. You just kind of like see this if you see how far just little kindness goes, it's easy to try to. Maybe it's not easy, but I found it easier to emulate that.
I agree. Like, and I don't know if you like, I mean, just saying it out loud is the first time I've heard myself say that or thought that, but to hear what people say about people, especially backstage at a theater, and I wonder if it's the same in the music industry, but to hear how people talk about, especially as a little girl, to hear other people talking about bad behavior in adults, and to go, oh, okay, I don't want people to talk about me like that, but I do want people to talk about me like that. So there's a few different actors that I definitely like learned big lessons from. Are there any like music examples you can come up with?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you one that's more. Why don't I start at the top one? So I would say the not the only story, but a story that I have that's similar on the level of like, wow, this guy's got time for me kind of moment is U2 took us out on tour, and I was making a record when I got the call, and the call came in and said, Bono heard your record.
Wow.
And they want you to...
That right there, where you're just enough. Like, boom, mind blown.
So they want you to go on, they want to take you on tour.
And then boom again.
And boom again. And I said, shh, okay, I'm in, of course. And it's great, it leaves Thursday. So like that's not how it works in the music industry. You usually have like months or maybe a year before you're out on that. Okay, we'll be there. And so we were out within a number of days, and then it occurred to me in short order that the record he was talking about was the one I was making. So it's somebody either brought it to him or he came to.
Oh, so you hadn't even finished it?
No, I wasn't.
So did you know how to
record.
perform it live?
Well, I had a few records under my belt that I could play those songs live, but I found out later he was talking about the one I was making. That he liked the records I made, but he was referencing that he was excited about this record. But the first day we show up, you're not entirely sure how you're able to behave.
Which record was this?
It must have been Dusk and Summer. Maybe I was making Dusk and Summer. Yeah, I think I might have been making Dusk and Summer. And I showed up at what venue could it have been? It was an arena. They all looked the same. And I went to catering, and I saw Bono at catering. Like, one thing you learn in doing what I do is that it's seldomly are those big guys comfortable and women are comfortable just sitting at catering, because that's when the most eyes are on them. Well, they're doing something, like a little bit vulnerable, like having a bowl.
Especially nowadays with a cell phone in your hand, you can get that one picture of them putting that food in there, or the dribble coming out of their mouth or whatever it is.
So it's not uncommon for somebody's assistant to get them their lunch, bring it to their dressing room, give them their own time. But there he was. And I thought, well, that's definitely don't say a word. Like, that was my instinct. It was like, give this guy the space. And I walked in and he goes, Chris. And that's me. So I said, yes. And
did you have to go, wait?
I had that moment of like, okay, he's talking to you. Be you. So I did it. And he waved me over, and I came and sat down, and he said, here's the...
Did he call you Godfather?
No, he did not.
Are you sure?
Absolutely sure.
I feel like he should have.
Yeah,
I think that's reserved for you.
Okay.
He may now, after he hears this.
Yeah, I hope he does.
If Bono listens to this,
gotta call Chris from now.
I'm
going to
have a Chris moment.
It's Godfather.
And he told me, he pulled me aside to tell me what he thought of my music and how highly he thought of it, which was lovely to hear from somebody that you've listened to the entirety of your life. And then he gave me a roadmap of what to expect as an opener for U2, which is not the same as just being an opener for any band or playing. And as a matter of fact, I had headlined that very arena not very long before. And I expected I could use that muscle memory, and he told me to abandon it. And he said, expect to be unwelcome. And I thought, well, I know I'm a member by the fans. And I thought, I'm a member of the U2 fan base, and I'm open to seeing the opening band. And he said, this isn't judgment. He said, they're just, it's something I've watched over and over. They're there to see us, and you can win them over, but like, don't expect it. Like, you have to understand that they're probably like, you go out and be you. Don't try to be somebody else, but don't expect it to work. Like, expect to just keep driving from note one to the end, to just trying to win them over the entire time. And it was great advice, but it was also great advice to know, like, what he left me with is, like, and if they don't come around before the end of the set, remember, I already am a fan. You've already won the guy over that they're there to see.
Yeah. He
said, so they'll come around, whether it's while you're on stage or later when they're talking about you after the show, but keep that confidence going. That
now you're making me think. I was a big Nine Inch Nails fan, and I always hated when Marilyn Manson opened for him.
Yeah.
Hated Marilyn Manson.
Well, you might have been onto something.
It's funny. I would be like, oh, if they're opening for them this time, I'm gonna stay outside for a little longer or something. I was now I feel like maybe I did the same thing, but like I was kind of that bitchy fan.
Well, it's okay to not like the band that's opening, I think.
If they're not good.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I think everybody deserves a fair chance.
Absolutely. But
yeah, it's okay to not like the band that plays. Maybe it's not okay to like decide I'm not gonna like the band that plays.
Yeah. No, I think I definitely knew Marilyn Manson when I made that decision, so I wasn't just being blind.
Well, at his last show, the one at the Ryman that I was at,
Laura
Jane Grace.
Yeah.
I had never seen before live at all, and only heard old stuff. And so seeing that, I was just blown away.
She brought the house down, man.
Huge
she
fan
is
now.
Intense. What an intense performer she is.
How is it to perform at the Ryman, especially in your hometown?
So it's great. It's one of my favorite places to play. And
well, for those that don't know, it's the original Grand Ole Opry, right?
That's right. For decades, they hosted the Grand Ole Opry there, and it is a beautiful, what is it? Deconsecrated church? Is that the word for it? It had been a church, in the turn of the century.
Oh, I used to go to the Limelight.
2 centuries ago.
A couple of turns of the
I used to go to the
centuries
Limelight
ago.
in New York City. So,
Yeah.
which was
I used to live down the street from the Limelight.
Did you? Yeah, me too. 6th Avenue and 10th. Where'd you live?
13th and 6th. Yeah, what's
Right
up?
by the Real Rays.
That's right.
That is the Real Rays pizza. For those.
That is the Real Rays.
When Santa talks about it in
every
Elf.
New Yorker I know has a different definition of the Real Rays.
But this is the one that Santa talks about in Elf, so you know it's the real one. Because Ed Asner says, he goes, but the real one is on 6th Avenue and 12th Street. I had to walk past it to go to the hospital when my mom had my baby sister. So
okay, we have to finish the West Wing story.
Sorry, West Wing story. We haven't finished it. Oh my
I want to know how it wraps into the new song.
So here's
the new song, yes.
Here's one thing that they end that I love about the show is it's not a comedy. It shouldn't have like a catchphrase. You know what I mean? But it does. It has this line that they utter very often at the end of the episode, where it's usually the president, or at least it starts on the pilot, where he says, "What's next?" President Bartlett says, "What's next?" And it's just an indicator of like we're handling this heavy thing. It's handled. We have to go handle the next.
Is that always
thing.
At the end of the episode?
It's not always at the end,
but it's close.
But it's often at the end.
So it's sort of like instead of saying the end, it's like we're going into. There's going to be more. There's more to come. Pay attention.
There's more to come. But there's also this presence of mind that like we charge towards the next thing that I love. That I love about that. So I had that in my head, and I wrote this more inelegant phrase, "Here's to moving on." And "Here's to moving on" is the song that I was saying, well, that's more directly related to where I am now, my new music that's connected to the West Wing.
Yeah, so let me ask you this real quick. Just because people always want me to reboot shows, and everybody's always like, at your shows, I'm sure you get the biggest cheers for the songs they know the best, they've heard the most, that kind of thing. I know artists go back and forth between loving their biggest hits and hating their biggest hits. How do you feel about that?
I love them.
You do?
Yeah, because here's what I
your
have.
Babies?
This is what I think is the advantage of what I do, which is probably true when you do theater, because it's like this living. It's not just one day that has happened.
Yeah.
It's living. It's a living art form. It continues. You're continuing to interpret it,
and you can
nightly,
evolve, yeah,
like you would with theater.
Yeah.
And so the song evolves as your performance might. It's not
you don't
like
get tired of it. Then
you don't get tired of it, and also. The audience is changing night after night, and they bring something different, and the song is imbued with the meaning that they seem to be insisting on in the moment, and you're drawing it out of you. So that's what I like. Like that's my real job and the real art form that I play in is that live performer thing.
Yeah. Do you find that when you talked about the audience, I always found, and I've had to tell other people this that aren't in the arts really, like friends that are spin instructors and whatnot, that sometimes they didn't really understand how to play to the audience. But I don't know if this is the same in music as it is in theater, but you have different audiences. I mean, an audience can be so different night to night, right? I always find that there's the sleepers. There's like the old lady sleeping in the front, and you might have like a night when nobody is into it. Nobody cares. You can't get the energy up. You have ones that are like the hecklers, the really loud, the obnoxious crowds, the ones that are screaming, singing along, all that. Like they're just like, they're there, they're in it, they're clapping, standing ovation, the whole thing. And then you have the ones that are, I call the listeners. You have the ones that are like quiet, and you think it's a dead show. You think it's terrible. You think it's not going well. Nobody's paying attention. And then you get the standing ovation at the end, and you're like, oh, they were.
You made my night, my day. I can't believe it. I love hearing when other people see this phenomenon, because it's like this stoic, this I perceive it as like, this is their worst night. I'm giving them their worst night they've ever had.
Yeah.
They're hating this moment. And it's inevitably those ones that are like, they'll come after you after the show. They've waited to find you to say how moved they were.
And you had no idea. Yeah.
Where was this happening? Like what behind your visage? How is this happening?
That's whenever it's like a dead audience, I always have to think to myself, they're the listeners. These are the listeners. They're listening.
Yeah.
So much of that depends on the venue too.
Yes.
Especially in a dashboard show, from my experiences, the bigger venues, it's less intimate. And so you almost feel like you can't celebrate in the same way as when you're in a small venue. Like I will never forget the Basement East show. I don't know how many years ago it was. Time runs together. But it was like being back in the scene with all the people who'd missed it, and the energy was the same. Every single person in the room was singing along. We were all dancing.
How long ago was this?
Oh gosh, like how long ago was that?
5 years ago.
5 years-ish?
It was probably.
It was before the tornado, because it was in the old Basement East. Yeah. And it was just like a flashback, and it was one of the most fun nights ever in my adult life, because I was like, this is a revisit to a time that is long past for every single person here.
Do you feel like sometimes like one person will set the tone for the audience too? Like it might be you, but it might not be. Like sometimes you can't control
it's
it.
often not me.
It's like
Maybe
somebody,
more
if
often
one
not me.
person, like I sometimes, okay, so spin class is like the closest thing I have to relate to this, but sometimes, like I went to a spin class this week and I was not in a woohoo mood, but usually I'm like, woohoo! Every time a song comes on, every time they say something motivating, I'm like, woohoo, woohoo. The other day I didn't want to speak at all, but I was still working hard, but I was like, not in a mood to like, but if I do, I feel like half the time then 5 other people do it too. And if I don't do it, then I'm not the cheerleader that brings people along. Do you feel like there's somebody, or is there a band member of yours that sometimes can really get them pumped up or something?
No, it's unpredictable. It's always from the audience, it seems like. And I'll tell you, I'm that guy sometimes, not the guy that wins the day. I'm the guy that goes in like it's a spin class every now and again. Like, okay, I got to drag myself out there. I said I'd go to class today. Yeah. I'm doing it. And I put myself on stage and I kind of just have to say I trust that person's out there, that one person.
That's going to back you up. That's going to be your head cheerleader.
And who is that one person in a sea of people going crazy? It's an unfair thing, to be like, I need somebody going even more crazy.
Yeah.
But they're out there and they help so much.
Well, I notice it whenever you go to, what is it, like, it's like Disney World or something, and then they're like, I can't hear you, and you have to do it, and you're like, woo, yeah. But it does work. It does kind of work.
Like, I'd love to know what you do when you're doing live theater, because it's not as interactive, right? Mm-mm. It's passive. The fan's duty is to be respectful. But do you ever walk in like, how am I going to?
I haven't done theater in a while, and the last plays I did as an adult were both read off cards. It was Vagina Monologues and Love, Loss, and What I Wore. So you were technically reading, so it wasn't as nerve-wracking as, although in Vagina Monologues I had to do 12 different kinds of orgasms every night. So sometimes if my lawyer was in the audience, my dad was there, my ex-boyfriend's father, that was awkward. But every night I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And then I'd get through it and I'd be like, oh my God, I did it.
That's amazing.
But you're not looking, you're looking for an audience reaction, but not like, okay, so for example, my sitcom, Melissa and Joey, or most recently I did one for Netflix called No Good Nick, and those have 200-person audience. So I don't like doing those shows though, because Clarissa and Sabrina were not in front of an audience. So I'm not used to playing to the crowd to try to get laughs, because I feel like if I am, then I'm too broad, because I'm already broad and big and loud and obnoxious. So if I'm trying to get the audience to give me something back, I feel like I'm overdoing it. So I kind of like the more intimate. So I do like theater, I think, a little bit better than maybe live television, because I don't have to get there. I really just wait for the applause at the end, let's say. But there are times like Vagina Monologues there was funny, there was sad, there's stories about rape, there's stories about, ill-fitting panties, things like that. So there's some funny and there's some really, really sad, upsetting stuff. And so you get to kind of gauge throughout it. But it does suck when you're there and you're trying to sell a joke and it doesn't land. That's kind of the most heartbreaking. Yeah. With drama, it's different. You don't necessarily want to hear people sniffling and crying in the audience, but you do want someone at the door to tell you at the end of the night that, that was a great performance, that kind of thing. But I don't know, we don't get to, there's nothing more we can do to pull from the audience.
Do you lean on a castmate in that moment if you don't, or do you just find it within yourself?
No, I usually just find it within myself. I mean, I feel like if we've done the legwork, if we've done the rehearsing, if we've done we know that the jokes have landed before, but they're just not landing now. Well, and in sitcom, they'll just, honestly, what kind of sucks too is like if a joke works in rehearsal, but the audience doesn't dig it, or they dug it the first time but not the third time, they'll change the joke. And then if they get a big reaction from that first time you hear that second joke, they'll use that in the cut. So you might not even, you're watching Friends, you might not hear the funniest line. You're just hearing what the writers thought was the funniest reaction from the audience. So the audience will dictate which cut ends up happening. So that can be a little, but really, I mean, with comedy, it's hard because you do want to hit things hard. Like Betty White had this great moment I was watching the other day. I was watching her in her first episode of Mary Tyler Moore, and she has to get a souffle out of the oven. And she gets it out and she does this great thing with her knee where she slams the stove shut. And it's like this great physical moment of just like, it's so fast and so wonderful. And you just know, like I was watching that going, I wonder how she rehearsed that. Who gave her that? Did she come up with that? Did someone else come up with that? Like that was such a great little nugget that makes me love her more. Like, and you know, it's like, where did that come from? Who gave her that? But hopefully it's just something she came up with. And maybe it was just that one take that she did that. But you know, you can play around with stuff, but it's just not the same as you guys like out there jamming, playing, like, you know, riling up the crowd and people being so excited to see you. I feel like a lot of time people come to acting stuff, theater especially, but you know, sitcom not as much. They come for a party, they come for the free pizza, the stand-up comedy. Because like when I'm doing the show, there's a stand-up comic, there's a DJ, and there's free pizza. So everyone's sitting out there, gets to eat. Meanwhile, they're eating and telling jokes and listening to Macklemore while we're up here trying to change the lines, make it work. What did you do wrong?
Macklemore today.
I know. I don't know why. It's like stuck in my head for some reason. Because the ceiling can't hold us. I don't know. But you know, you're trying to focus and it's like this party's happening out there. So it's such a weird, distracting thing, but it is fun to be a part of the party. And but you have to pull aside in that moment and like pull it together and figure it out. But the more
do a good job of bringing that out of people, though.
You pump it up.
Well, maybe it goes back to feeling like I'm just part of that scene. Like
I think maybe we're all nostalgic for that time.
Yeah.
And excited for the future and like what else you do. So yeah, I guess that is kind of what it is.
So what would be like your worst show that you've done? Is there one? Like, would you say there's like one particular show that stands out that you wish you hadn't?
Yeah. The thing about like superlatives, like worst, is that there can only be one, and there's just so many bad ones.
Yeah, but give us just
so
one.
many years.
We just want to hear one.
That's one bad one, man. I don't.
Is there like a moment that
you
like?
Yeah, I can cop to it. It wasn't long ago. It's quite recently, and it wasn't long before that Ryman show, and I wasn't back to form yet. We'd had a pandemic to sit out, and I was in an accident, and it was pretty bad, and it took maybe 18 months before I was like, you know, well recovered. But this was only maybe 12, 13 months after it. So I was just out there doing my level best. And, you know, it's as if we had all this gear, and there's what your listeners and viewers can't see is there's people beyond the cameras that are doing work. And there's a lot of complicated gear going on here. Well, all that complicated gear is there for me too, and none of it was working. But it wasn't all not working at once. It was successively failing.
Oh, that's the worst.
And this is happening in a place in my life where I wasn't fully confident in my own abilities to carry the day. I didn't have them at my disposal. And so I was only looking out there for the audience. And because I was so focused on, I need somebody out there, I could find no one. I could see this sea of, it was like 10,000 people. It was like plenty of people to try to, but all I could see was like, I'm failing this person. Oh,
wait, are you literally looking at the faces?
I'm looking at the faces because it was like an outdoor festival. You're trying to get
a reaction from, you're trying to get like a reflection off someone's face.
You know, I guess I know that like, usually that person, I can find them, but I'm also like, I also have it within me.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I can hear the microphone and those kinds of things. But the gear's failing, the people are doing their best to keep us going. And then I realized after a while, oh, they can't actually hear us either. And so I was like, how many songs can I pantomime in front of an audience?
They can't hear me.
They can't hear me without it being like they're like giving me that, yeah, you got it, buddy, to like, okay, get the hook. And so like knowing, I was like, okay, I have to call this thing. It's like putting the dog down. It was rough. I was like, okay, I guess. And so that was and it wasn't like, I'd love to say that there was there are other instances that are more like, oh, I
hit a really bad note or something.
Yeah, like that's more like, oh, I failed trying.
Is there like a
It was
joke?
so magnificent. I gave it my all. But this one was just like, yeah, it was a no. We DOA.
That was just all around a rough day. That was a rough day.
All around a rough day. So we've all had those, right?
Yeah.
And so like I left there. I remember calling my wife and being like, I don't know how you come back from a moment like this. And you know, she had the salient kind of insight that was like, you know, this is 20 years into this career, another 5 with the band you had before it, so many more in the trenches before that. You know, you can count on one hand the times you've had this. Why would this be the indicator that this is how things are going to be?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it was like it was a great kind of shot in the arm of like, oh yeah. And she said, let's just focus on the Ryman, which was the next show that's come. I know we keep referencing this, but it's because Amanda was there, and
it was a big deal.
That's a big
deal. It was a really great.
And it was the
show.
20th anniversary of.
It was the 20th anniversary.
I've got it. Hold on.
Of the places you've come to fear the most, and MTV Unplugged.
The MTV Unplugged. Yes.
And actually, it was officially the MTV Unplugged one, and so we did it as like in that kind of style. And it was my first real show back, a first Dashboard show. We'd done that festival, a couple of festivals, but it was our first headlining show after having had an accident. And let me tell you how special that was for me, because the accident occurred here in Nashville. The recovery occurred here in Nashville. The hospitalization was all in Nashville. And a lot of people got me back on that stage. And not the least of which, obviously, were the surgeons and the hospital staff and the physical therapists. And they were there. They were there with me for the show. I could see them. I'm going to get teary-eyed. Cool. I could see them out there, you know, knowing how much work they'd put in to get me into that moment. And I also felt for my audience, who I'm not the best follow on socials, because I don't love it in a way that makes me do it all day.
Yeah,
and I like following people that do that when I'm following people. But I was open enough to talk about how these trials had been for me. And people flew from around the country, around the world even, to be at that show, my first one back. And there was a forgiveness in the air of like, none of us know how to be at shows yet again. It's post-pandemic. None of us really know how to be in big public settings like this. Let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
And let's help each other have a great show. And
Nice.
It felt like a community.
Well, that's actually, before Melissa and Joey, so funny enough, I got this from Reba. Reba, her TV show, her first AD, the first assistant director, his name's Robbie Countryman. He worked on that show, and she would always pray. And I think it comes from her touring. So before her TV show, she would pray, which is not something I ever did before a TV show before. But I'd also never done the live TV shows. So for Melissa and Joey, Robbie was our first AD, and he was like, let's pray before the show. And we got together and held hands and did a prayer before every show. We did 104 shows, I think, and we held hands and prayed. And so when I met Reba finally, I thanked her for bringing that to me. And then I brought it to No Good Nick, and I brought it to some other shows since then. But that was what we always said in our prayer was, we're just here to give someone a laugh. Let us just go out there and give someone a laugh that needs it today. And that's all. So that was our focus. And I brought that to younger kids when I direct other shows and stuff, and there's kids there, and you say that, it makes them calm down and think about that, the true meaning of what we're doing, which is entertaining, right? We're just here to entertain. We're not gonna kill someone if we do it wrong. We're not, we're not changing the world in huge ways. We're not landing on the moon. We're just trying to give someone a laugh today who needs it. And that was enough to kind of focus us in and help us get out on stage and just like do a really good job, because we realized, look what we get to do. Like, it's so fun what we get to do. So we need to give you a guitar, I think.
Yes,
let's have you play a little. What do you want to play? Well, so your new song is
Here's to Moving On.
And your new album is?
It's called All the Truth That I Can Tell.
And that's coming out soon, but the song is already out.
The song is out.
Amanda, you know what drives me absolutely crazy?
What's that?
Single-use plastic. Literally, it drives me, like, I think I have a problem, because it gets in my head and it makes me crazy when I look around and I see how much plastic we use in our lives.
Everything.
It's everywhere, and it is so 2000. I mean, this is 2022, people. It's way past time to make cleaning fun, beautiful, and plastic-free.
I am for it.
Blue Land's idea is simple and beautiful. Buy the bottle once, Refill it forever. No more plastic waste. The only thing you need to discard is your outdated idea that eco-friendly products are more expensive and less effective.
All you have to do is fill Blue Land's beautiful Instagrammable bottles with warm water and pop in one of the hand soap or spray cleaner tablets, and within minutes, you have powerful cleaning products in the most incredible scents such as iris agave, perrine lemon, and lavender eucalyptus. And
I love the lavender eucalyptus.
I love the way my house smells after I've cleaned with Blue Land.
Each of my boys has a bottle of the hand soap in their bathrooms so that their little stinky boy rooms smell just a little bit better and they are a little bit cleaner.
I even tried the toilet cleaner tablets recently, and my bathroom smells so good.
Oh, and you know what? I hear that those are backed by very popular demand, so you have to get them before they sell out. So here's what you can do. Right now, you can get 20% off your first order of any Blue Land products at blueland.com/binge. That's blueland.com/binge. Check it out. And thank you, Blue Land, for being an amazing sponsor of this episode of What Women Binge. Hey, Amanda, what is the capital of Canada? Okay, do you know about the country of origin for kebabs? You know what? You should play Trivia Star now and prove your knowledge or lack of knowledge.
I feel like I could guess at kebabs. It's somewhere in the Middle East, I bet.
Okay, and Canada is?
Quebec?
Ottawa?
Okay, I don't know. Ask me pop culture question.
I know, right? Well, here, okay. Name a member of the New Kids on the Block. You're under 15 seconds, go.
Joey McIntyre.
Oh, there you go. Okay, look, you won.
He's so pretty.
So if you like playing trivia as much as we do, Trivia Star is a free mobile trivia game with over 60 different categories, and you get to choose the category. It could be, what? Music, TV, pop culture, animals. What
Everything.
else? Everything.
Celebrities.
And if you choose the correct answer from multiple choices and beat the clock, you move on to the next level.
It sounds simple, but the questions get harder and harder over time. And if you get stuck, don't worry. You can always use coins and gems to get the hints and beat the levels.
And right now, Trivia Star is offering you 2,500 coins and 500 gems when you download and play. So you just have to go to the Apple or Google store and search for Trivia Star. Download Trivia Star for free today and get ready to flex your brain muscles. Ugh. All right, you guys, right here in our very own What Women Binge studio, we have Chris Carrabba from Dashboard Confessional playing his brand new song, Here's to Moving On.
I feel like I find something new to remind me of you all the time. Picture a hairband, a song, or this cork from this bottle of wine. Click of the thermostat kicking off just when it's getting too warm. Dropping the pressure, smelling the air when it's starting to storm. And I hate to admit that it's true, but I like how it feels that I do. Here's to waking up, here's to living more, here's to feeling alive again, here's to picking yourself off the floor, here's to waking up, here's to sleeping well for once, here's to knowing the things you wish you could change, and saying you're fine when you're not, here's to being right, here's to being wrong, here's to letting go, here's to moving on. Stand in one place and just listen and let myself feel how it sounds. Little bit hopeful, little bit hollow, a little bit down. This house isn't empty, exactly, it's settling down for the night. It's creaking and cracking, it sounds familiar, it doesn't feel right. All that time that it takes to let go. How could I be the last one to know? Here's to fighting less, here's to living more, here's to feeling alive again, here's to picking yourself off the floor, here's to waking up, here's to sleeping well for once, here's to knowing the things you wish you could change, and saying you're fine when you're not, here's to being right, here's to being wrong, slowly. I'm still a bit spent, still a bit tired. But I feel a little bit better this morning than I felt in quite a long time. It's funny, I thought for a bit there I'd never be able to deal. I drink some coffee, I take a shower, and I start to heal. And I hate to admit that I can, but I like how it feels that I am. So here's to fighting less, here's to living more, here's to feeling alive again, here's to picking yourself off the floor, here's to waking up, here's to sleeping well for once, here's to knowing the things that you wish you could change, here's to saying you're fine when you're not, here's to being right, here's to being wrong, here's to letting go, here's to moving on.
Yay! So fun. Oh my gosh. I love the line sleeping well. Like I love that. That like really hit me when I first heard it. I was like, yes, I want to do that. I want to like finally sleep well.
Yeah.
I love that because everybody,
yeah,
right? Because everybody, I would feel like everyone wakes up and just goes, I didn't sleep well last night. Like everybody. So that one really hit me. That
I just
line.
feel like this whole song is like an anthem for this phase of life for all of us moving out of the pandemic.
Totally.
Lord willing, just changing focus.
Yeah.
You know, like looking forward, not looking back. It's a new world. Let's
Such
go.
a great 2022 song.
Oh,
Here's to moving
beautiful.
on. Thank you.
This
Thank you.
This is like the
Oh
greatest.
my gosh,
day
will you do
ever.
another one for us in a little bit? Okay. All right, cool. All right, so Chris, we want to talk about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
So your song, Vindicated, was the theme song.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit, because, I know, like,
This is fate. I have to tell this story
Amanda is, like, geeking out bigger than she's ever geeked.
Why?
because you're here.
I am.
And how this happened.
I totally am. Yeah, it's wild how I ended up here.
I
right?
know. So one of the Matts, our crew is full of Matts. One of our friends, Matt Lott, went to see the new Spider-Man, which he's a huge Spider-Man fan. And as he's exiting the theater,
The bathroom.
there you are. And he's a huge fan of you and a huge fan of Spider-Man. So he completely geeked out
He has a Spider-Man tattoo, so.
He does.
in the
I've
best
seen it.
way. And he was bold and approached you.
And here you are.
And here I am. And you know what? It was a great moment because that's a without giving away for those who, if there's anybody left that hasn't seen
Right.
it, there's probably not. But it's like it's a pretty an emotional ride. And I think everybody left that movie with this weird conflict inside where you're like on top of the world because it's this giant epic superhero movie, but it's not just spectacle. It's a pretty deep movie.
Right.
And so I was like shaking it off for a minute as I walked out of the theater, and often is the case that I'll see friends at the movies, like everybody, right? And
Sure.
I saw somebody with a knowing glance, and I thought, oh, there's somebody that must know me, but coming at me, and I was like, oh, I'm ready to tell him how moved I was about that movie. But then it was Matt, who I had met before, but don't know well. We have a common friend, and we were talking about the movie, and then he told me what he's up to with you guys, and said, I think they'd love to have you on, and here I am.
Here you are, and you're playing for us. And so your song, so Vindicated was.
So Spider-Man comes through again for me.
Yeah.
So,
Tell us how that came about that you did the theme song for. I just wonder how those things transpire. Like, how do you get to do the theme song for Spider-Man?
You get lucky, and you have somebody that believes in you.
So they came to you to write the song, or they chose one of your written songs?
So they came to me to be part of the soundtrack and not be the single, not be the song that's in the movie. It came from a specific person, a woman named Leah Volek, who was at the time was the head of music for Sony Pictures under Amy Pascal, and she was a fan, and she was not just a fan of the music I made, but also she's a member of like that scene that Amanda and I are from. As a matter of fact, she used to be like a front of house mixer for like Richard Hell and like the CBGB's days.
Oh,
Wow.
So she's like an OG, like the real thing, in a lot of ways. And so she believed in what I was doing. She wanted to help in her way, help my career, which is such a nice thing, which is not just, that's so reductive, it's a nice thing to do. But like to stick your neck out for somebody who's
That's
really
rare
early on in their career,
in the industry.
it's rare.
Yeah.
And
because this is what year? What year is this? Spiderman 2 is.
So they must have been making it in 2003, or was it out in
2?
This is the second Toby.
It was out in
Maguire,
2003,
Kirsten
right? So it was out in 2004. So thanks, Matt. So we were. I was approached in the year prior.
Okay.
But here's the best part. She invited me, do you want to come on the lot and see the movie, like while it's in production?
Yes, sir.
Not post-production, in production. Like I could see the dailies. And I mean, it was like the movie was done, it wasn't finished, it wasn't the final edit, and it wasn't the final rendering of the special effects. So here I was alone in one of their in-house theaters there. And it would be what you would come to see in the movie. And there's Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man swinging by. But then it's totally just animation. And then it's just line drawing. It's like temporary stock, the temporary footage in place. So it's really like inspiring to see like what's happening, how it became this next thing from a production point of view is pretty amazing. And that was it. That was the lotto win for me. And I thought it couldn't get any better than this. And I had left really kind of like, I was like spinning out on the drama, on the, not just, okay, so I come to it as a comic book fan from a childhood, as somebody that is pretty steeped and encyclopedic in my knowledge about like Marvel to begin with and Spider-Man specifically. So I was like already like giving them an attaboy and felt like, great, they're doing justice to this lore. But what I really was drawn into at the moment was like, wow, this is like, there's some resonant stuff for me just as a human being here in this. It wasn't the story Spider-Man at the moment. It was this Peter Parker conflict he was having. He's like, I'm a lot is being asked of me in this moment. I was having that kind of time in my life, and a lot. I want to be with a person that is not completely available to me to be with in this moment. And I was in that same position, and I just remember leaving and thinking, there's probably a song in this for me too, and feeling that was a victory, that maybe later on I would actually have been, I knew I was inspired, and I thought maybe a song would come out.
Did it come easily?
It did come easily. So easily and fast. It was only like a couple weeks later, and I sat down, we were in Hawaii. We try to do this thing with the band where we will end a tour when we can in someplace
pretty
glorious like that, right? And take a few extra days and just, especially at the end of a year, maybe, if we can, if it's a long cycle.
I want to do that. Can I go on tour with you at the end?
Come on, just in the end for the last show.
I just want to go to Belize or, whatever.
So we were all there, and then we were all going surfing, and I never made it. I never made it to the beach that day because I picked up my guitar and Vindicated spilled out instantly.
Is that the fastest that's ever happened for you?
It's among the fastest, but I'll tell you what, though, it seems to be that when it happens that way, it's one that will really connect with a lot of people in my audience and have staying power. So I'm always like,
this is an ordained moment.
No,
it feels
thing.
like
Yes.
all that is magical, and all enough so that I called Leah just to tell her thank you. Like this led to me having a song that I'm really excited about. In addition to the gift you've given me here with opportunity for people to hear my music, and she said, "Oh, send it to me." I mean, we can't put it in the movie; it's too late.
Right.
But send it to me. I sent it to her, like just my tape recorder. And
right.
Well, it must have been digital at that time because I emailed it to her, right? So I send her the song, and I got a call later. She's like, "Can you get in the studio tomorrow?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Yeah,
You're in Hawaii still?
Yeah, I figured it out. I figured out how to do a proper demo the next day with a full band, and by the end of that day,
In Hawaii.
in Hawaii,
Oh, you had the
there.
band with you.
I had the band. We were there for a show, and so we booked a room. We recorded the demo, and she said, "We're going to switch it out. We're going to allow you extend your deadline here." I'd already delivered the other song, and
What's the other song? Is it out? Do you have
it's
it?
not out. I want to one day, maybe.
Oh,
maybe
it's like in your safe somewhere.
It's somewhere waiting for the moment.
Lockbox.
Anyway, but not to belabor the point, but she then had to still, like, she went and she pitched it to hey, look, we're making this change. I just need you guys to give the okay. And like, the okay was, yeah, not only do we like it, it's the single.
Yeah.
And so and then I got a call from like Avi Arad, who's like, producing it. And then I got to meet Amy Pascal and all these things that like took the whole story, my personal story, a lot further than the big win it already was. So I'm indebted to all these people for that opportunity. But mostly I'm grateful to them because they didn't know that they were going to do this, and they gave me a song.
Well, and we're all indebted to them for getting you to do it because we all love it.
Yes.
But real quick, I just have to ask you one cheeky question. Which one's your favorite Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
Actor.
Tobey Maguire is my contractually obligated answer.
He's a nice guy. I'll go with
later.
I think Tom Holland encapsulates that character in a way no one has, in the way I think it was intended, and in a way that I think is the best. That's the one for me. But
Tom Holland's pretty spectacular. Yeah. But Andrew Garfield, I mean,
there's no bad.
It's funny, they're all really similar, and right? They're very similar, look-wise.
Sure.
So we have the Godfather here.
For sure.
The Godfather's about to play Vindicated for us, right?
Oh my God.
All right, here we go. No pressure.
Dangles on a string, like slow spinning redemption, winding in and winding out. The shine of it has caught my eye, wrote me in so mesmerizing, so hypnotizing. I am captivated, I am vindicated. I am selfish, I am wrong, I am right, I swear I'm right, swear yourself so clear, like the diamond in your ring. Cut to mirror your intentions, oversized and overwhelmed. The shine of it has caught my eye, rendered me so isolated, so motivated. I am certain now that I am vindicated. I am selfish, I am wrong, I am right, I swear I'm right, swear I knew it all along. And I am flawed, but I am cleaning up so well. I am seeing in me now the things you swore you saw yourself. So turn up the corners of your lips, part them and feel my fingertips, trace the moment for forever. Defenses paper thin, just one touch, I'd be in too deep now to ever swim against the current. So let me slip away, so let me slip away, let me slip away, let me slip against the current, let me slip away, let me slip away, let me slip away, let me slip away. Vindicated, I am selfish, I am wrong, I am right, I swear I'm right, swear I knew it all along. And I am flawed, but I am cleaning up so well. I am seeing in me now the things you swore you saw yourself, like hope dangles on a string, like slow spinning redemption.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
You know, someone's cutting onions somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. Wait, I want to ask you the line, I am seeing in myself the things you said you saw. Wait,
I am seeing in myself the things you swore you saw yourself.
What does that mean? To you?
To me, it's kind of like this, I think what brought me to a moment where I could stand, where I could say what was on my mind was a realization that, like, oh yeah, the thing that the person I want to say it to, what they've told me they see in me, I've become it. Maybe I'm worthy of that relationship I want to have with that person.
So, you know how on every episode, Amanda, we ask our guests what their favorite beauty product is?
Yes.
You want to know what my favorite beauty product is?
Absolutely, I do.
It's Apostrophe.
Oh.
And I know you love it too.
I do. I'm really enjoying my Apostrophe skincare products.
So whether you're dealing with breakouts, you notice signs of aging, or looking to even out your skin tone, which is what I'm doing right now, trying to get rid of some sunspots, Apostrophe will help you get glowing skin this year.
Apostrophe is a prescription skincare company that offers science-backed oral and topical medications that are clinically proven to help clear acne.
Yeah, they'll connect you with a board-certified dermatologist who'll create a personalized treatment plan just for you and your unique skin.
Yes, and all you have to do is fill out their online quiz, talk about your skin goals, your medical history, and then you take a few selfies, which I totally recommend you do before you log on. That way, a dermatologist can create a customized treatment plan just for you.
That quiz is fun, and it's easy, and it's quick. And then Apostrophe's board-certified dermatologist will send you, in the mail, your treatment plan.
It's the best. We have a special deal just for our audience. You can save $15 off your first visit with an Apostrophe provider at apostrophe.com/WWB when you use our code WWB. It's only available to our listeners.
Yeah, so to get started, go to apostrophe.com/WWB and click Begin Visit. Then use our code WWB at sign up, and you'll get your first visit for only $5. That's apostrophe, apostrophe.com/WWB. It's a lot of letters, but you can figure it out. And use that code WWB to get your dermatologist-crafted treatment plan for $5. And we want to thank Apostrophe for sponsoring this episode of What Women Binge. Amanda, a brand I love is Splendid Spoon. You know, they just get it.
They do get it. I love Splendid Spoon. They know that healthy food can get a bad rap, but these meals are delicious.
Yeah, when I got my first delivery, I was hooked. I mean, they have vegan meatballs and they have marinara. They have these delicious soups.
Oh, and the smoothies are so good.
Smoothies, I love the little shots. What are they?
The recovery. Oh, all the shots.
Recovery
really.
shots. All the shots.
But we're hooked on the recovery shot.
The recovery
right now.
shot has that tart cherry you're supposed to have after a hard
so
workout.
good.
And we love that.
Yes.
Splendid Spoon believes in plant-based eating as the single most effective tool we have to feel good day in and day out. So when you make a habit out of plant-based eating, it allows you to be the best version of yourself, right? You get benefits like more energy, weight loss, improved sleep. Yeah. I
Yes,
love that
and
one.
better skin.
Better skin.
You can't go wrong with that.
I love that. Yeah, and some of the favorites are chocolate cherry smoothie.
Oh, I just tried the lime coconut. It is so good.
Lemon coconut's like sitting on a beach.
Yes.
That's amazing. So here's how you guys can get started. And you can save $35 on your first order when you go to splendidspoon.com/binge35.
That's right. Splendidspoon.com/binge35 to save $35 on your first order. So that's only $6.66 per meal.
Yes, it is. And we want to thank Splendid Spoon for sponsoring this episode of What Women Binge. So you talked in there about stupid questions. Can we ask you a few?
I wish you would.
Okay, cool.
Hang on. Before we do this.
Oh, what do we need to do?
Oh, I brought you
us
something.
Oh, yes, gifts.
Look.
I love
I don't know if I
gifts.
can move this microphone.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Because
one of my love languages.
Here, do I?
Well, you
Get
talked,
this here. I'll
in
leave
your
it.
other
I
song,
left
you
that
talked
there for
about
you.
corks in the wine.
I
but
did.
There's no corks in this wine.
It's corkless.
Tell us about this.
So, I grew up in like a beach community, and so like you're not allowed to have bottles on the beach, as everybody knows. And so I always thought, why isn't there wine in a bottle? Why isn't there bottle quality wine in a can? And so I found a company that was doing it that was led by a female vintner, and that is on a sustainable farm. And my wife and I thought this would be a great chance to put our support behind a company like that. And so it's called CanVino.
CanVino.
And it's fantastic.
Should we
wine.
break
For those
one
that
open?
can't see, on YouTube, you guys can check it out.
It's 5
but
o'clock somewhere, right?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Maybe
How
even here.
beautiful the
I
packaging
don't know which one I
is.
want, you guys.
Oh, I'm
what do you
going
think? Which one's
rosé.
your favorite? Which one's your favorite?
Well, I like the Pinot Noir.
You like
for
the
myself,
Pinot?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go with. Wait, I think this is a Cabernet.
Oh, it's delicious.
I may have drank
here's
the
the
Pinot
Pinot.
already.
Did you?
It's possible.
So we give.
I was nervous before we went on.
You're not the first guest.
Delicious female-empowered canned wine.
Yeah.
Can we
Yes.
give you a pair of our fuzzy socks?
I love
Which
socks.
you got to pick a pair of fuzzy socks here because
man.
we all wear our
There
fuzzy
are so
socks
many
we're.
options.
For those of you listening to the podcast, we are
We have solid black.
we are in. Amanda and I are always in loungewear. We're chilling.
There's, you have so many options.
But yeah,
Oh
what
my
are
God,
you?
there-
What
but
are you
I will-
thinking?
Feeling.
Well, I can tell you how I'm always feeling. I'll take the solid black.
Solid black.
Feeling.
I like it.
I'm out on a limb today wearing all blue.
Wait, I'm going to open
But
my wine.
This
Hold on.
This is my go-to. Thank you, guys. I will cherish these.
Thank you for the wine.
These are great.
Yeah. You have comfy feet, and we have comfy wine.
We're ready to kick it.
We should have warned you ahead. We should have warned you ahead of time that we dress comfy and
Yeah. We
Do I not? Do I look?
loungewear.
buttoned
No,
up
you.
too?
No, you're in your.
No pun
you're in
intended?
your denim.
you
I
look
love it.
amazing.
I love it.
Are you
amazing.
comfortable? Is this what you lounge in?
This is my lounge room.
While we sip these, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Ready?
Okay.
These are meant to be just like, one-word answers if you
All right,
want.
I'll elaborate.
Okay.
Just
What
kidding.
shows are listed under your continue watching?
Oh, probably.
Like what shows haven't you finished, I guess?
What haven't I finished?
That you'd
Or
like
just
to stop. That you'd like to finish. Maybe you haven't
Ooh.
gotten through.
Or
maybe you don't want to finish.
I want to. I started that show Fauda, which is it's out there, man. You got it.
I don't know
What is
that
this
one.
about?
What's it on?
It's heavy fare. How about Seinfeld? That's a little lighter fare.
Okay, but no, give us something new. Come on. What is it? What's Fauda?
That's too heavy.
It's too
It's
heavy.
too heavy. The
What's it
West
on?
Wing.
The West Wing.
Oh wait, no, you did suggest something to us that both of us watched.
What's that?
Station 11.
Oh, guys, you started Station 11.
Because of you.
It's
man.
kind of
It-
crazy.
It's
I loved
so
it.
out there. It is like
I was confused. I have to say, as a director, I was not loving the directing. Is that what's horrible to say? I mean, we're not trying to
Yes,
bash
it's
anyone
horrible
here, but
because
it's
it's
my opinion.
beautifully done.
I just didn't understand. Like, okay, I've only done one episode, so it was confusing to me.
yeah. So
Do I have to get like 3 or 4 into it? To
yeah, I
really-
don't think that. I don't. Yeah, every question's not answered. I don't think that I knew what was happening at the end of that first
Okay,
episode.
yeah, I was
but I
very
don't think it
confused.
wasn't intentional for the viewer to not really know.
The other thing is flashing forward to the future. Like, obviously, people are dying, and it's a post-apocalyptic, right? Like kind of like what we're going through right now. There's a plague, it takes over, and I don't know what happens after that. But so I'm not really giving anything away. But they do these flashes into what was there and what is there as far as the scenery. And when they do those, they're just. I wish they were faster. I wish they were like a quick jolt of like you think you see what you see, but you don't. And instead, they like stay on it for a while, and you think you're going to be in the future, but you're not. And then you go back to the past. So I was a little confused with the timing of it all.
I loved it.
But
So this is
I'm
wild
excited
for me
to finish
because
it.
I know how I listen to music. It's like with a different kind of critical attention than
She will
most
draw
people
your
do.
eye to
and I don't
details.
think I would have picked up on those things.
My
Even
kids
though
hate watching movies with me. They're like, you ruin everything.
my kids don't.
So
Say
when you watch
something
Elf,
about me.
if you
Oh, yeah?
if you watch Elf, so John Favreau directed it.
Yeah.
But when you watch John Favreau in the scene where he pricks his finger, if you watched, I can never watch anyone but John Favreau in that scene because I'm just watching him as a director, directing while he's acting. When he pricks his finger, he immediately looks at Will Ferrell's face to see the reaction he's getting out of him instead of reacting naturally to what's happening.
Do you do that thing like when my brother-in-law is a producer, a feature producer, and he can't watch anything but the extras to see whether or not they're awful. I don't know what that's about.
If the
But
background's
he's always like,
matching
"Oh,
and the
can you
continuity-
see these? They don't even know what they're doing." And I'm like, "No, I didn't.
No,
I don't think I'm
didn't
supposed to notice them. Not sure."
No, we have there's like there's a lot of things I look at. Well, like for example, one of my best friends is in wardrobe, and we went to see The Sixth Sense together in the theater back when, way back when. And at the end of the movie, I turned to her, I was like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe that movie? That was amazing. I did not see that coming." She's like, "I saw it coming. He was in the same freaking outfit the whole time. He was obviously dead." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
She had the decoder
She knew the
ring.
whole time. She was like, "He didn't change his clothes. He threw on a coat. That was it."
Well,
Maybe he was on
personally-
tour. I wear the same outfit for weeks.
There you go.
Yeah, you're a dude. You can
this
do
one.
that.
Well, I'm very grateful that you recommended it because that's what Logan and I are going home
I'm
to watch.
gonna
tonight.
watch it too. I'm gonna finish it for sure. Okay, a book that's been in your nightstand that you haven't finished reading.
Let's see. The last thing he told me by Laura Dave.
Oh.
She's a friend of mine. She's fantastic. I mean, it was a bestseller. It's not just because she's my friend, but
And you're gonna.
maybe I shouldn't admit to having not finished it.
But you're going to. Like it's one that
Of
you want to
course.
finish. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to get there. That's okay.
Don't tell her I haven't
won't-
finished it.
We won't tell
But
her.
we will buy her book.
Delete.
Good idea.
What's your go-to podcast for long commutes?
Would you be surprised if I told you it was the West Wing Weekly?
Not at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do they do recaps? Is it all recaps?
They do recaps. It's Rishikesh Sherway from Song Exploder, along with Joshua Molina, who was Will on the West Wing. So and they have access to the entire cast, including Martin and
Martin.
and Aaron Sorkin and the directors.
That's
and so
very
forth.
cool. What's your all-time favorite movie?
Probably, honestly, No Country for Old Men, I think, is probably my favorite movie.
That's a
That's a
great
cool one. Beauty product you can't live without. I have to ask.
Yeah. Oh, I don't use a whole lot, but I use that, what's it called? Sumatec by Bumble and Bumble in my hair.
Yeah.
Your hair is fantastic.
Your hair
I
is
told you that
fantastic.
earlier. I mean it.
Thank you.
What show did you expect to like but ended up disliking?
Oh, man, I'm on the spot.
I know
don't
it's
know.
a tough one. That's a tough
Was
one.
that one not on the list? It should have been on the list.
Maybe. I just can't remember.
Oh, I think
That's
it
okay.
was ended up Oh, ended up hating, I think I said, but we were going to say disliking to be nicer.
Yes.
So what show did I expect?
Like, did you expect, did everyone like pump something up to you and then you were like, or a song or a book or anything?
Oh man, unfortunately nothing comes to mind.
That's good. That means you like everything.
Yeah.
You're very open-minded. If you could have one food on a deserted island, what would it be?
Ice cream.
Yes.
He's your
I always say pizza, but I think it's ice cream. What flavor?
Oh man.
If you say mint chocolate chip, we're not friends anymore.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Ugh.
What if I said like vanilla?
Oh no, I like
It's like,
I'm
but that's-
chocolate. I'm a simplest like with that.
I like the simplicity.
Yeah.
Although I could go for chocolate. Now I want some chocolate ice cream.
You want some wine? we have a bucket of canned wine. Movie you feel like you should have watched but you haven't yet.
A movie I feel like I shouldn't. Oh, you know what? I always wished I'd watched, but then it was out of the theaters, and everybody said you should have seen it in the theaters. Is Gravity? I never saw it.
Same thing. I didn't watch it because everyone said the theater. I think we just got to watch it.
I think I blew it.
I have a hard time with movies that are one person. Like I finally, during my Tom Hanks marathon during the lockdown, watched Castaway. But I won't watch these movies. I did watch The Martian though, where people are like stranded by themselves. I'm like, what's the movie? Who are they talking to? I'm
There's a lot of drama
it's
in
Wilson,
being
but,
alone.
like, yeah, but Gravity.
about your
I just
inner
don't
dialogue.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you
Who's
express
there to
inner
give
dialogue
the audience
in a movie?
exposition?
Exactly. How do you lay the pipe?
I am so dramatic in my own head. So
Okay, and your most guilty pleasure?
My most guilty pleasure. Okay, wait a second now. Does that mean like
It could be anything. Music. Do you love Britney Spears? Are you really into New Kids on the Block? Is there something we don't know about you? Is there do you love the Kardashians?
do you have
Are
a fun
you
hobby outside
Really into
of
Big Red chewing gum? Is there something?
okay? So like I sew a lot.
Oh,
Is that weird? Like that's
No,
just
that's
like
awesome.
that's not a guilty pleasure. It's just like a rare thing that nobody knows about me because it's lame.
But you enjoy
Comfy,
it. It's
cozy
not lame. I went to fashion school. Sewing is hard. That is a talent.
yeah,
you like darn your socks when they get. Is your wife happy about the fact that you like darn the socks back together when
I've
they
been known to hem things around the house. yes.
stockings rip at
Sure.
Christmas time? You stitch them back together.
Oh yeah,
All right, we're gonna
but
do.
now we got a sock guy, so we don't have to.
There you go. You got the soft socks. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some this or that's.
Okay,
Wine or beer? Obviously.
wine.
CanVino.
Yeah, that's right.
Housewives or Kardashians? Uh-oh.
Oh geez, housewives.
All right, I'm
Housewives.
gonna change that one for you.
Okay,
In Sync or Backstreet Boys?
in sync.
Oh, okay.
Wait a second. Now, why was that like a shocking response, or was it my response?
I'm just
No,
waiting.
it wasn't. I just was shocked that you answered, I guess.
with such authority.
Instead of being like, I don't know.
I do know. In sync.
You don't seem like a pop music fan. So I think
mean-
that's maybe the
I'm
Is
alive.
that your guilty
I have
pleasure?
2 ears and a heart, don't I?
yes.
In sync.
And
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Soft or firm mattress?
Firm.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Nespresso at home or Starbucks?
Those aren't my favorite options. Starbucks.
What would be a third?
Well, why does it have to be Nespresso?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Coffee at
Keurig,
home.
are you going for the Keurig? Are you going for Folgers?
No, I
What do
go
we think?
through. I
Maxwell
like the
House?
whole routine.
Oh.
I got a routine.
he's a fancy coffee
You
guy.
fancy?
Yeah.
You need your own
You
barista?
got
got
the pour over
Sure.
situation.
The whole
like
bag,
cold
baby.
brew.
Okay.
Whatever you need, come on by.
I don't
So
understand.
you're a
I don't drink
barista
coffee,
in your
so I
spare
don't
time.
understand.
right.
Another guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
You and my
Weird.
husband.
A singer-songwriter that's a barista in his spare time. That's
Hey, I get made fun of 'cause
In
I play a
Nashville, that
lot
is
of-
rare.
it's usually
I play a lot of restaurant apps, and people are always like, "You're the only actress that pretends to be a waitress." So the other way around. So I get it. Sweet or salty?
wow, because I love that sweet salty mix. That's like my favorite thing. But if I
Have you
had
got
to
a
go,
tailgate pizza?
no. Tell me
so
about
tailgate
this.
pizza here, especially the one in like West Nash, has first of all amazing pizzas, and I love the inside, the atmosphere of the place is amazing. But there's also an ice cream bar, and they have this pretzel caramel vanilla ice cream
Oh,
thing.
I'm there
but they
for that.
put the bits in between. Like they don't just put it on top; they put
yeah.
it in between.
Oh, man.
And I mean, I think that's why I gained 15 pounds when I moved here.
I think everybody does. We all do.
Welcome to the South.
Now we know you're the godfather of emo, but country or rock?
Man, I think rock.
Okay, dog or cat?
Dog. But it's close.
Really? Yeah. Do you have both?
Well, no, but I
Either?
just don't want my dog to know how much I like cats.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we won't tell him. We won't tell him. Art or sports?
Oh,
Would you rather go to the museum or the Titan Stadium?
man.
a museum in the Titans.
Oh, man, that's it. Let's go. Let's go right now.
Titans museum.
That's right. That's where I'm at.
Well, those are our questions. We have a secret jar here. We're going to ask you to write a secret down, and then at the end of the season, we're going to read through the secrets and try to guess whose secret. So it will be anonymous.
Okay.
But, it doesn't have to be your deepest, darkest secret. But if you want to, it would be
It
fantastic
can
if
be.
it was. It'd be, although I already feel like
juicy.
you already gave us a few juicy.
I feel like I've learned so much about you today. This was awesome.
You're not only a super fan, you're like, you can consider yourself now an expert in Dashboard Confessional.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I've really
feel like
enjoyed
you
getting
are.
to know you.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been great.
Thanks for having me and visiting with me.
And wait, we want to plug your new song.
Yeah.
Here's to moving on.
Here's to moving on, and your new album coming out this week.
This week, all the truth that I can tell.
And your tour is starting with Jimmy Eat World in like a week.
Yeah, we're
Where are you starting? You're starting in Albuquerque.
We're starting in Albuquerque. You know what? I don't know how we both know this so well, but we are starting in Albuquerque.
I find out things about you. Well, thank you so much.
I need you at like every interview I do.
I will come with you.
I don't have this information readily at hand.
I will come with you, and I will hold your hand, and it'll be lovely. Even I don't know how you play the guitar while I'm holding your hand, but we'll work it out. Amanda will hold your other hand.
There we go.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us for What Women Binge. You can connect with all of us on your favorite social media platforms. We have at What Women Binge. Amanda?
I'm at Amanda WWB.
I'm at Melissa Joan Hart. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. You can find all of our links at whatwomenbinge.com and subscribe on YouTube. Our wonderful theme song was written and produced by my cute husband, Mark Wilkerson. What Women Binge is produced by Laugh-O-Gram Studios, video production by Matt Giesler, and audio by Matt Lott, and production assistant Jennifer Best. What Women Binge is distributed by Podcast Heat. For more information, visit podcastheat.com.